This is London, over 400 years ago. A city where survival was not guaranteed, even for one more day. No electricity, no clean water, no safety, only darkness, disease, and danger. What you're about to see, it is not a movie. This was real life. The streets of London in the 1600s were nothing like today. They were narrow, so narrow that two carts could barely pass each other. Tall wooden houses leaned inward from both sides, almost touching at the top, blocking out sunlight and trapping the air below. Even during the day, many streets felt dark. Under your feet, there was no proper road, just thick mud mixed with rotting food, animal remains, and human waste. There were no modern sewers, no drainage system. Every morning, people would open their windows and shout a warning, "Look out below!" And then they would throw buckets of waste directly into the street. The ground became a living layer of filth. The smell was overwhelming, a mixture of smoke from coal fires, sewage, rotting garbage, and death. It stayed in the air constantly. Rats thrived in these conditions. They ran across the streets, climbed into homes, and spread deadly diseases without anyone realizing. Flies filled the air. Dirty water slowly moved along the sides of the road, carrying bacteria and infection. Walking through these streets was dangerous. You had to step carefully, avoiding puddles, waste, and hidden holes, because one wrong step, one slip, and you could fall into the filth. And in a city full of disease, that could mean death. Every step you took was a risk. Daily life extended. Inside the homes, life was just as difficult. Most houses were small, built from wood, and packed tightly together. Entire families lived in a single room, sometimes 6, 8, even more people, sleeping side by side. There was no privacy, no comfort. Windows were small, fresh air was rare. During winter, the cold was brutal, and in summer, the heat and smell became unbearable. Clean water was hard to find. Most people collected water from public pumps or rivers, which were often contaminated. Bathing was not a daily habit. Some people went weeks, even months, without washing. Clothes were worn again and again, absorbing sweat, dirt, and disease. Illness spread quickly. If one person got sick, the entire household was at risk. Plague, infections, fevers, these were part of everyday life. Doctors were limited. Medicine was basic and often ineffective. For many people, getting sick meant one thing: you might not survive. Work and survival. Every day began with a struggle. As the sun rose, London came alive with noise. Street vendors shouted, trying to sell bread, meat, fish, or anything they had. Fresh bread, hot pies, best meat in town. Markets were crowded, chaotic, filled with people pushing, bargaining, surviving. Most people worked long hours. Laborers carried heavy loads at the docks. Blacksmiths worked with fire and iron. Servants worked inside the homes of the rich. And children worked too. There was no concept of childhood as we know it. Young boys and girls worked in shops, on the streets, or as servants. Because in London 1600s, if you didn't work, you didn't eat. And if you didn't eat, you didn't survive. London was not just dirty, it was dangerous. Crime was common. Pickpockets moved silently through crowded streets, stealing coins, food, anything valuable. Gangs controlled certain areas, and if you entered the wrong street, you might not come back. At night, the city became even more dangerous. There were no streetlights, only darkness. People carried small lanterns, but most avoided going out after sunset, because in the dark, anything could happen. Robbery, violence, disappearance. And then there was fire. The greatest fear of all. With houses made of wood and built so close together, the entire city was like dry fuel. Cooking fires burned daily. Candles stayed lit through the night. All it took was one mistake.
The Great Fire extended. And in 1666, that mistake happened. It started in a small bakery. At first, it seemed like a normal fire, but strong winds carried the flames from house to house, street to street. The fire spread rapidly. Wooden buildings burned instantly. Narrow streets made it impossible to stop the flames. People ran in panic. Some tried to save their belongings. Others fled with nothing. The sky turned orange. Smoke filled the air. The heat became unbearable. For days, the fire continued, destroying homes, churches, entire neighborhoods. By the time it ended, most of London was gone. Thousands were left homeless. The city was reduced to ashes.
This was London in the 1600s, a place of struggle, of survival, of constant danger. And yet, people endured. They lived through disease, through fire, through hardship. They rebuilt, they adapted, they moved forward. And over time, this broken city became one of the greatest cities in the world.
The past wasn't peaceful. It was survival.